You'll hear about this from someone else eventually, so I'd rather you heard it from me. I'm not writing to explain myself. I stopped doing that around the same time. I stopped waiting for an invitation to Sunday dinner that never came again after the spring I turned 26. Nobody sat me down. Nobody said the word estranged. My name just quietly stopped appearing on the group texts, and I told myself for almost a year that it was an oversight, a phone glitch, a mistake someone would eventually correct. Nobody corrected it. I was the mistake. I want to tell you what happened Tuesday, not because I need you to feel anything about it, but because I think you deserve the same courtesy I never got. The truth, delivered plainly, before the version with the missing pieces reaches you first. There's a version of this story that starts with anger, and I could tell it that way. It would be shorter. It would also be a lie by omission, because the real starting point is quieter than that. It's a man named Everett Cho, who owned the building I worked in when I was 28, and answering phones for a firm 3 floors below the one I run now. He used to bring me coffee on Thursdays, for no reason I ever figured out, and one afternoon when I mentioned, carefully, the way you mention things you're ashamed of, that my family didn't really speak to me anymore, he didn't offer sympathy. He just said, if they ever come looking for a seat at your table once you've built one, call me before you call them back. I didn't understand what he meant at the time. I understand it now. I built something. I want to say that plainly, without softening it, because for a long time I only knew how to talk about my own accomplishments in a whisper, like they were something I'd stolen. I made partner at 34. I made managing partner at 37, in a firm that has my name on the lease and none of yours on anything. I did it under a name I chose to keep quiet about, not out of shame, but because I didn't want a single sentence of it to be handed to you as a gift. You found out anyway. I don't know how. Maybe it doesn't matter. Tuesday, you walked into the lobby at 10 in the morning, when the floor is fullest, when clients are waiting on the leather benches with their coffee and their nerves. And you didn't ask for a meeting. You didn't call ahead. You came in with Mom a half step behind you, the way she's always walked behind you, and you put a folder down on the reception desk, hard enough that the receptionist flinched. And you said, loud enough for the room, because you have never once in your life said anything quietly that you wanted witnessed, that I would make you managing partner today, or you'd call the building owner and have the whole operation shut down. I want you to know what I felt in that moment, because I don't think you'll believe it, but it was almost nothing. Not rage, not the old ache. Just a strange, flat clarity, like watching someone perform a scene from a play that closed years ago. Mom smirked. She's always had that same smirk, the one that used to mean, this is already decided, you just haven't caught up yet. For a second, I felt 11 years old again, standing at the bottom of the stairs while decisions were made above me that I wasn't allowed into. And then the second passed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't list what I'd built, or ask why the sudden interest 3 years after the fact, or say any of the things that used to sit in my throat at 2 in the morning. During the years, I still thought I owed you an explanation for existing outside your version of the family. I've said those things already, into rooms that never had you in them. I wasn't going to say them again for an audience. I said, sure, call him. I put it on speaker myself. That's the part I think will surprise you most. That I wasn't afraid of the call. I think you expected fear. I think you'd built the whole scene around it. Everett picked up on the second ring, and before I could say word Zaid, he said, I've been waiting for this call, not shouting, not triumphant. Just the voice of a man who'd been holding a piece of information for 3 years, patiently, the way you hold something you hope you'll never actually need to use. He told you, told the lobby really, since you'd made sure it was public, that he'd known exactly who ran this firm since the week I signed the lease, that he'd watched the numbers, the growth, the hires, and that if anyone was going to be removed from that building on his authority, it wasn't going to be the woman who'd kept it solvent through a recession while her name was absent from her own family's dinner table. He didn't say that last part unkindly. He said it like a fact, because it was one, and facts don't need cruelty to land. I watched your face while he talked. I'd like to tell you it broke, that something finally cracked open and you understood, all at once, everything you'd cost both of us. It didn't happen that way. Your face just went still. Mom's went stiller. Neither of you said anything else. You picked the folder back up off the desk, the one you'd slammed down with such certainty 20 minutes earlier, and you left the way people leave when they've run out of the only script they came with. I didn't feel triumphant watching you go. I want to be honest with you about that, because I think the honest version matters more than the satisfying one. I felt tired. I felt the particular tiredness of someone who has just watched a very old wound get a very small, very late acknowledgement, years after she stopped needing it to survive. I'm not writing this to tell you I forgive you. I don't, not yet. And maybe that's its own kind of unfinished business I'll carry for a while longer. But I'm also not angry the way I used to be. The anger that used to sit behind my sternum like a held breath every time your name came up. That's gone. What's left is something closer to distance. Peaceful, in the way an empty room can be peaceful, even if you know it used to hold more. I hope you're both well. I mean that more plainly than you'll probably believe.